Welcome to NewsNation. This is where right and left can come to try to be reasonable. As we enter Thanksgiving week, this is my favorite holiday of the year. It's not even close. I am thankful. You'll keep hearing me say it all week. I say it all the time, but I'll be saying it especially this week. I'm thankful to be here with you and to use this opportunity tonight to flag some distractions that are being put up so that you don't ask yourself, hey, how come they're not talking about affordability? I thought that's what was going to happen after the shutdown. I thought that's the big thing. The meeting with the New York City mayor-elect and the president, right? Affordability. What's going on? Distractions. Why? Easier. Today, the Pentagon announced that they are investigating Democratic Senator Mark Kelly. Remember, he's a NASA naval officer also. Why? Distraction. Tasty clickbait. Distraction. This is payback for the video that the Democrats put out last week. It wasn't treasonous. There's no real legal issue there. Now, look, I didn't like the video. I didn't think it was the right message nor the right time. But I don't like this either. And we know why they're doing it and see it for what it is. A federal district court judge just dismissed the indictments against Attorney General Letitia James from New York and former FBI Director James Comey. Why? Because the prosecutor that the administration picked exceeded her statutory duration of being in power. This is called an unforced error. So what does it really mean? This is where the distraction part comes in. It does not mean that the case is gone. Well, first of all, this was a district court judge, which means what? It's being appealed, which means what? It could be overturned. Do I think it will be? No, I don't. But the words without prejudice that this district court judge attached means something. Means you can bring the charges again. Not to James Comey, maybe. Why? Statute of limitations. We'll see what happens with that. But fans of Attorney General James or fans of this going away against a Democrat, you're celebrating a little early. But again, I see this as lawfare, and that is a distraction. Now, the worst distraction, because it is actually derailing affordability being a main concern. MAGA members of Congress are reportedly trying to keep the president from making a proposal to you to extend the ACA subsidies. For how many, for how much, and for how long? It's hard to know. He hasn't been able to give the proposal. The reporting is that the proposal would extend the subsidies for 2 years in exchange for income caps and getting rid of $0 premiums that have allegedly led to broker fraud. Now, the president wants to have the fight, okay? He does not want to cede affordability to anybody. He says, this is why I got elected. Now you give it a new word. I called it cost of living. Now you call it something else, and you say I'm not about it. That's why he met with the mayor-elect from New York City, because he sees him as the spirit animal of affordability, and he wants people who care about that, who's like everybody, to not think he's on the other side of it. The question is why is MAGA insisting on denying Trump that ability to make that case by saying, hey, we're not for this? Why are they insistent, apparently, on denying coverage to millions of people who voted for them and voted for them for exactly this reason, to help with the cost of living? Democrats, forget Epstein. Get out there with the ideas for the subsidies and the other things that are punishing people with prices. Put out what you're for, not just what you're against. This is your opportunity. My last example of a distraction is actually being used to distract us from dealing with prices by offering you a distorted reality about prices. What's going on with inflation? Are prices going up or down? Thanksgiving prices. Everybody's talking about them right now because they're so easy to play with. Two things can be true at the same time. Now, here is what does not work on social media. Nuanced truth. The answer to the question of whether or not prices are up or down depends. What prices? Where? What are you comparing them to in terms of when? Let's do Dia de Acción de Gracias, Thanksgiving. The retail price for a turkey is down this year. There you go. Down 16%. Next question. No. Wholesale prices, which are what the retailers, the people who sell you the turkeys, what do they buy them for themselves? Their prices are up 40%. So wait, hold on. Why is the wholesale price up? Same reason they were up under Biden when everybody was saying because Biden sucks. No, It was the bird flu, okay? Something Biden doesn't control. Bird flu just decimated stock all across the country. So what happened now? All right, so there's still bird flu, so the prices to the retailers are up, but the prices are going down. Why? Because retailers are willing to lose money on turkey. Why? What, is that all you eat on Thanksgiving? Turkey? Not me. I don't even really like turkey, to be honest. So the turkey price has come down. But what about everything else that you buy once you're in the store to get the turkey? Sweet potatoes, up 40%. Milk, 16%. Frozen peas, up 17%. Vegetable trays of carrots and celery, crudité, up 60%. So, if that is true, why does Secretary Bessent say this?
Inflation has gone up. It's at 3% now, up from 2% in April when the tariffs were imposed.
No. They weren't. So inflation hasn't gone up. We have slowed inflation, and we are working very hard to bring it down. You know the best way to bring your inflation rate down? Move from a blue state to a red state. Blue state inflation is 0.5% higher, and that is because they don't deregulate. They keep prices up. Energy is higher.
No, it's because they have a different demand and supply structure. But that's not what's important. What's important is that this is why they like going on NBC, by the way, because they get what they feel is a legitimate platform, but there's not any real pushback. No, it's not 3%. No, it is. That's why he won't come here. No, it is 3%. Here it is, right here. Now, do you want to give me some specialized version of inflation? Do you want to show me a trend where the rate of the increase has been flattening? Is that what you're talking about? The answer is yes, it is. That means nothing to you. Because a year ago, it was 2.7, and now it is 3, which means, the rate of increase is still going up. Okay, that's the truth. It's in front of your face, and he knows it. All right? Now, so what is this about? Add Bessent to the list of Patel, Bongino, and Bondi. Now, I'm not saying I dislike these people. You should dislike these people. The president should dislike these choices. They are not helping his cause. Mr. President, you are your own best messenger. And this guy is proof of that being the case, okay? These people, whether it's Epstein, whether it's lawfare, whether it's this, these guys do not sell it the way you do. Just saying. Now, Bessent wants you to be satisfied that the rate that prices are increasing is not as bad as it was before the administration, even if it's gone up even within this administration. You see, he's playing games. He's trying to distract you. Don't be distracted by something fugazi. Focus on the right questions about the right things and demand facts. So, the biggest thing that I am thankful for at NewsNation is our ability to have members of Congress from both parties come on at the same time. Nobody else works to make this happen the way we do. And I thank the people for doing it every time. All right? And it's not all of them, right? That's why they deserve the thanks. Washington State, Democrat, member of Congress, Adam Smith. Texas, Republican, member of Congress, Beth Duyne. It's good to have you both. Good to have you both. Sorry about that. I'm not even drinking yet. So thank you both for being here. Let me start with you, Beth. What I was just talking about with prices, you're hearing about this all the time from constituents and their concerns. Now, the big price tag, other than a mortgage, obviously, is health care. Is it your understanding that the president has an idea he wants to float, but that members of the MAGA caucus, if you want to call it, are trying to discourage him?
I guess I'm not part of the mega caucus, so I haven't heard anybody trying to discourage solutions that are coming out of this White House. Well, I'll tell you, as I am on the Ways and Means Committee, and we have had a lot of serious conversations about what, a proper health care bill before the end of the year would look like in trying to put together that bill, recognizing the fact that the Affordable Care Act, the Unaffordable Care Act, has been a complete and utter failure, has led to nothing more than insurance companies lining their pockets, getting rich, 230% profits. increase in profits while they're still denying about a third of all claims. What we need to do is hold the insurance companies accountable and stop writing them checks. What we need to do is give people the ability to be able to have more money in their HSA accounts, to be able to have more ability to be able to pick and choose what plans they want, and recognize the fact that we all do not have the same healthcare needs or the same priorities. So I think respecting each other, respecting the fact that American citizens don't want to see what has happened under the Unaffordable Care Act is that the premiums have gone up out of the roof. We need to be able to fix that. But unless we are actually looking at holding the insurance companies accountable and not just writing more checks to them, we're not going to get out of the bottom.
Let me just ask one bounce question, because you said something there I thought was going to grow more hair on mine and Adam's heads for a second. I don't blame the ACA for the cost problem we're in. And to the extent that the ACA is incomplete, you got to look at your own party. You're new, Van Duyne. You know, you're not to cause for the problems with ACA. You weren't there. But your party won't work on improving the ACA. They just keep saying they want to kill it. They've never wanted to work with Democrats on making it better. But you just said something I want you to explain a little bit more, and then I give it to Adam. You said the companies are making X percent. You said 30, but whatever the number is.
230%.
But they're cutting on the other side. You sound like a commie. Have you gone Mom Donnie on us? Did that meeting brush off on you that happened in the White House the other day? Are you talking about limiting corporate profits?
I would disagree that Republicans have not been willing to work. I know that I've been there for 5 years now, and I have a number of different healthcare bills that I've put forward that would actually reduce costs and hold folks accountable. So I don't know why you're saying that we're not willing to work on it.
I'm saying it because Republicans have refused to fix the ACA since it was first put out. It was part of their strategy. But go ahead, Adam, come on into the conversation.
Yeah,
hold on, let him come in, and then you guys can talk to each other.
What Chris is saying, Beth, is that Republicans have been in charge, 4 years under Trump, and nothing has been passed, nothing has proposed, nothing has even gone forward to the House for a vote.
Well, don't say nothing's been proposed. We all know he proposed something, but it took a lot of care.
Sorry, Beth, is this going to be a fair conversation, or are you just going to talk?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Adam. She's just making the point that things are proposed.
Just be accurate.
Beth is saying things have been proposed, but that doesn't mean they happen. But what's your point? Go ahead, Adam.
I've got points to make, and if you give me more than 10 seconds, I'll go ahead and make them as quickly as possible.
I'll give you 11.
Republicans have done nothing on health care. 2, this latest argument about, it's the insurance companies, we want to regulate them. Happy to work together with you, but I will let you in on one little tiny piece of bad news. People have to buy health care insurance. All right. It's the nature of healthcare that unless you're really, really rich, and I know there's quite a few Republicans who can go ahead and afford to buy their own healthcare, that's great. But most people have to buy insurance. So Trump's saying we're going to cut out the insurance companies. We're just going to give people the money, and then they're going to be able there and go out and magically pay for these cancer treatments that Chris was talking about a moment ago. Not going to happen. Insurance is going to have to be part of healthcare. And this argument Republicans have been making to try to duck responsibility for the fact that they've cut Medicaid, they've ignored the ACA and caused costs to go up, that, the insurance companies are bad, the insurance companies are bad. Sure they are, but you got to regulate them. You're not going to be able to hand out enough money for people to go buy their health insurance. So let's get together, let's work together and get the ACA to a better place. But Chris is right. The ACA isn't the reason that insurance premiums are going up. The ACA helps people who are at the lower end of the economic spectrum at least have a chance of dealing with that. You want to regulate insurance companies? I want to get rid of for-profit health insurance. Do you support that? Should we get rid of for-profit health insurance? Because that would be a good way to stop insurance companies from screwing people out of benefits and driving their prices up just to make sure their share price goes up next quarter. So would you support getting for-profit health insurance?
Well, what I hear you saying is basically it's corporate welfare. You don't want to get rid of them. You actually want to write them checks. And I would argue that any industry,
no, I just said I want to limit them. How do you want to limit them?
Or education and college tuition.
So you want to get rid of health care insurance?
And just written checks.
You don't think we should have health care insurance?
But what the ACA has done is you've actually kicked doctors' offices out. It has promoted massive accumulations of private practices, group practices. It has made healthcare more expensive. It has decreased quality and it has decreased access. It is time your party admits it was a complete and utter failure. And for the 15% of people under Obamacare that did not have insurance, recognize the fact that it was not healthcare insurance that you had. You needed healthcare. Two different things.
How would you regulate health insurance? I've got ideas. I'm happy to hear yours. How would you regulate health insurance? Because I think you're right.
This is obviously a discussion that's going to take more than 4 minutes, but by holding them accountable and not just writing them checks. And what I hear you saying is there's not going to be any kind of key performance indicators at all. We're just going to extend and extend and extend. This extension led from COVID. This was 5-year extension because under COVID, these premiums were going up. Under COVID,
I want to regulate health insurance.
Years ago. All of you decided, and by the way, when you say about solutions from Republicans, as a Democrat, you could not get any Democrat to extend it beyond 5 years. If you wanted this to be permanent during your time in office, when you had the majority, you could have voted for it, but you didn't. Every Democrat voted to have the extension last until December 31st of this year, and now you're having to actually
think people
sleep
who
in the bed
voted to not have it at all are better than people who wanted it for 5 years? Look, the key part of this conversation, aside from the political partisan shots back and forth, is what are we going to do to regulate health insurance? Because you're not wrong. That's a huge part of the problem. Trying to control insurance companies is a problem. And the reason it's a problem is because what I said earlier, the economics of this. Individuals cannot afford to have enough money in their own bank account to anticipate a healthcare emergency. They just can't. So there needs to be some kind of insurance model. What we have is an insurance model that is not regulated. We need to regulate it for the benefit of the consumers. And like I said, one idea is get rid of for-profit health insurance because that's driving a lot of the cost.
And I think the word that I hear you using the most is control. And I think that's been the problem, is that you've tried to control what people can buy. You've tried to control the price that it's set. That's a problem. And instead of letting the free market work, letting doctors actually be in charge of their relationships with their patients, and the patients have that relationship. You have taken all the control because you put the money in these massive health care insurance companies, recognizing the fact that just because you have insurance doesn't mean that you have care. And by the way, I'm not one of the—
Why are you acting like the ACA invented health insurance?
I will tell you, as well as most members of Congress who are not in the military, are forced right now to be on the Affordable Care Act. And it is the largest bill I pay for a service I could never use because our deductibles are so high and what we pay per month is so high. Not to mention the fact that 50% who get these subsidies don't even know that they're on the insurance.
Yeah, all right. Well, I will tell you one thing.
Sorry, Chris. You're trying to hold order here. It's been a fun conversation.
No, not at all. First of all, let me tell you something. Van Duyne, I'm a fan.
I think because here's what's up. I got no problem with it.
You have both Republican and Democrat realizing this is a problem. We should work on it. And the insurance companies have way too much leverage in this and have to be regulated. And you got to figure out that in a way that empowers the right people the right way. Let me tell you something. I know that sounds like common sense to the two of you. That is uncommon in Congress right now, as in even a starting point. So I'll take it. And I do have to exit, but I'll have this conversation every day of the week with you guys if you want. And I believe you're both fair brokers. Van Duyne, very nice. Beth Van Duyne, good to have you on the show. Adam Smith, good to have you on the show. If I don't see you guys again before, I'm thankful for both of you. Have a good Thanksgiving with your families, Chris. And I wish you all good things. Thank you for doing the job and doing it here. I appreciate you taking the opportunity. Be well. 4 minutes and 35 seconds. I love that. I could have listened to that for 25 minutes. I'll be honest. Yeah, it's a little bit over talking. Hey, welcome to conversation, right? Right? At least they're talking about what matters. Not, oh, I think that Comey should be reindicted. Who gives it? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, this weekend, heavy news, man. Granddaughter of President John Kennedy and Jackie Onassis. Daughter of Caroline. Remember, they had two kids, John, may rest in peace, Caroline. Caroline's daughter revealed that she has not just cancer, and she's very young, terminal cancer. What that means to you and me is, holy cow, none is immune. Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong. He won't call himself this, but I will. This man is a genius inventor and thinker who believes that we can absolutely do better when it comes to killing cancer. But something's stopping us. What? Next. Everybody's affected by cancer. None is untouched by it. We were reminded of that this weekend in larger fashion when the granddaughter of John F. Kennedy and Jackie O which means it's the daughter of one of their two kids, Caroline, the surviving child. Her 35-year-old, just 35, Tatiana Schlossberg, revealed she'd been diagnosed with a rare terminal cancer of the blood and bone marrow, has less than a year to live. And it just puts into focus what we already know. With all the advances, is this really the best we can do with something that kills so many? I honestly believe the answer to that question is no. And part of the reason I believe that you're going to learn tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern. And I get why this has been blowing up in terms of interest, okay? Look, NewsNation and certainly Chris Cuomo are not about selling snake oil and some easy thing. Here, just drink this. And it's none of that, okay? It's complicated, it's involved, and we're sitting down with a legit genius, okay? A doctor who believes he knows what will kill cancer, all cancers, okay? So his name is Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong. You Google him, you're going to find a million things, okay? He is a multi-billionaire, but he also owns the LA Times. He owns part of the LA Lakers. He's creating all different kinds of technologies, from Hollywood to warfare. He literally just delivered me a couple of improved turnout coats for firefighters that I just dropped off at my chief's office before the show tonight. That's how applied he is. Now, he has a protocol that he has been using that has worked, he says, and so do his patients, for about 1,000 people who participated in clinical trials. Here's a little bit of what we're trying to get across tomorrow night. Take a look at these before and after brain scans.
Again, this patient had a brain tumor. Now, the brain tumor, the patient had radiation, chemo, and surgery. So we've taken patients who failed all chemotherapy, failed everything, and gotten this kind of response.
Very impressive as a visual representation.
There's no chemo in this treatment, no radiation in this treatment, and the tumor is now really reducing in months.
Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong joins me now. Dr. Pat, first, happy Thanksgiving for you and your family. I'm thankful to have met you and gotten to know you a little bit, and thank you very much for the turnout coats that I gave to my chief, and I'll let you know what he says about them as soon as I can. But what do you hope comes from the special?
I think awareness, Chris. I think, by the way, thank you for having me on the night before. The whole issue here is it's sort of hidden in plain sight, or what I call a blind spot. Just to be clear, and I want to make it very, very clear to the audience, this is not a magic bullet. This is not a one shot. What we're doing is creating a whole new process where we actually use the old chemotherapy, use some of the old radiation, but in a very different way, in low doses, so that we can smoke out the tumor, so that then your immune system can go and attack. And in that sense, we needed to activate the immune system. So the paradigm change here is having your body's own immune system attack the cancer, rather than destroying the immune system inadvertently with high-dose chemo or radiation.
So the big pushback will be, wow, if this is so good and you believe so strongly, do what the FDA says and go through all their hoops, and then you'll be able to prove it to their satisfaction and you'll get approved for all the things that you want. Why isn't it that simple for you?
Because the FDA has already approved it. It's taken us 10 years of clinical trials in multiple tumor types. And what the FDA has already approved is the mechanism, which is really important. In the package insert, the label, it says, this molecule called IL-15, which is now approved, when it binds to your natural killer cell and your T cell, it expands them without expanding the suppressor regulatory T cells. That is approved, affirmed by the FDA. What is not clearly and mystifying to me, if that is the case, that mechanism of protecting the immune system is irrelevant to the tumor type that you have. So to give you an example, if you have anemia today, independent of any cancer, you get a drug called Epogen. You don't say, go do Epogen trial in every tumor type, which will take 10 lifetimes. You say, this is a treatment for red blood cells. Well, for the first time in the history of medicine, there's never been a treatment for activating your killer cells. That is the point. There's never been a treatment to activate your killer cells, which are the most important cells in your body to kill cancer. We have now done the trials in pancreatic cancer, done the trial in triple-negative breast cancer, we've done the trial in lung cancer, we've done the trials in 10 multiple tumor types, and it's approved for bladder cancer. But as you have reported, we have thousands of patients, desperate patients, with no time left in their lives, wanting to have the immune system restored, and I have to go through one patient at a time.
I know you have to make some very tough choices. Is there an accommodation? Is there a middle ground that the FDA could offer that you would take? And is there any sign of progress with government approval? Because otherwise, you know, you're going to be making choices for the rest of your life because you'll never have the scale that you need.
I was most encouraged by an article just put out last week by the Commissioner, Marty McCary and Vinay Prasad, that talks about a pathway based on plausible mechanism of action. Plausible mechanism of action. Well, the mechanism of action is not just plausible, it's already affirmed by the FDA. And that if such a plausible mechanism of action has a different outcome with evidence of safety, which it has, because we've done over thousands of these doses in multiple tumor types, then the pathway is an accelerated approval with confirmatory either real-world evidence or confirmatory randomized trials. But that allows then patients in this country who are dying to have access, and doctors who are then aware of this to have access across this nation.
Yeah, that I think is the key part. And I hope that people get that. Miguel and I, you know, Miguel's done a beautiful job with this, Miguel Sancho, the producer. But the one question I'm left with at the end of it, and I know the administration pays attention to what we do at NewsNation, and I know they're going to pay attention to this especially, is why not at a minimum let people who've tried everything else, let them make their own choice about what they want to put into their body and give themselves a possibility, if not a probability. Dr. Pat, this is just the beginning of the conversation. I appreciate you being here tonight. We'll let the special fly tomorrow night, and then we'll continue the conversation. You are always welcome here.
Thank you so
very
much. Okay, bye, Chris.
All right. Killing Cancer premieres tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on News Nation. And you can Google them for yourself. Dr. Patrick Soon, like not late, Shiong, Shiong. You'll see. All right, we're going to take a break, 4 minutes and 30 seconds. When we come back, here's what I don't get. If this is a good deal for Ukraine, and they are the ally in this, right? Why do you got to force them, right? Why does he only have until Thanksgiving, which isn't a thing in Ukraine, but is for us, right? Why? Trump said today that he was hopeful that there would be a deal. But is this really too Russia-friendly, and is it really not a deal? We'll discuss. All right, let's talk about this Ukraine situation. We have former U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, Bill Taylor, and Trump's former Deputy National Security Advisor, Victoria Coates. It's good to have you both. Happy Thanksgiving to both you and your families. Ambassador, if it's a good deal and this is your buddy, why are you forcing him to take the deal and to do so before a holiday that doesn't exist where he is?
Well, Chris, first of all, we haven't seen the deal. The leaked deal, the 28-point plan leaked by the Russians, written by the Russians and giving to Steve Witkoff, is a bad deal. Is a terrible. Everybody has recognized is a bad deal, and that's not the U.S. government deal at this point. The U.S. government has taken, I guess, that and have worked on it, and then last 2 days have worked with the Ukrainians and the Europeans to make it better, to work it out, to consult with the people that it affects. As you say, this is the ally. The Ukrainians are the ones that have been invaded. And on the deadline, deadlines, there's with this administration, some flexibility on deadlines. And I think you even heard from Marco Rubio and even the president saying it's, it'd be nice to have it by Thanksgiving, but that's you're not going to jam the Ukrainians because they got a lot more work to do.
Victoria, why isn't it working the other way? What am I missing here? Why isn't he saying to Putin, listen, these are the basics of what it's going to be, and if you're not doing this, you are about to become a gas station posing as a country?
Well, Chris, I think that this is a situation where we have to get the Russians to the table to start to negotiate what can be a lasting solution to this war. And so in many ways, I think that's what the original 28-point plan was. It was a tool to start these discussions. But then you're seeing the president use what he did in September with the 20-point plan to end the fighting in Gaza, get to a broader Middle East plan. He's using that as a model. So now we start the negotiations with the Ukrainians, who obviously have to be central to any plan to end the war on their territory, but then also our European allies. I'm just back from 2 weeks in Europe, traveled to a number of different capitals, got a lot of input from them on what their views are. But the point of that is, for 4 years, this war almost has been going on. No one has come up with a plan to end it yet until President Trump did. So I agree with Ambassador Taylor. Let's see what's coming out of Geneva. Let's see where we can get to points of consensus, get the Russians to the table, then hopefully bring an end to this fighting.
So what am I missing about, Bill, about why this is supposed to bring Russia to the table? Because again, Victoria, I understand what you're saying and the dynamic, and I'd love to hear about that input in some longer conversation. But it still feels like you wouldn't have to push up on Zelensky to come to the table, and you wouldn't have to be putting out social media, content saying Zelensky's an ingrate. Why isn't he using the rod with Putin and instead of the carrot?
He should be, Chris. He absolutely should be. And that's the answer to Victoria's question. How do you get him to the table? You have to have a proposal, which they're working out in Geneva right now with the Ukrainians and the Europeans. But then you have to force Putin, because he's not going to like it. He's just not going to like it. And he needs to be forced. And the way to force him is very clear. You squeeze the revenues that he gets from selling oil and gas around the world. And there are lots of different ways to do that. We've used some of them, but not enough. And there's plenty more to be squeezed at this point. And then the other thing is give the Ukrainians the weapons that they need to defend themselves and to go deep into Russia. And the third thing, Chris, is give the Ukrainians $300 billion of Russian money that's frozen in Western banks. Those three things will be pressure on Putin.
Victoria, just give me one more little, help me understand why doing it this way with Zelensky, you're kind of dropping the hammer on him. Does this mean something to Putin? Is that why Trump's doing it this way?
Well, I do think there is that kind of notion that Zelensky's been lionized throughout the 4 years of this war. And as we see a corruption scandal start to engulf his government, one can question why. But I want to go back to something Ambassador Taylor just said, because I think this is the stick you're looking for, Chris, against Putin. And that is the energy issue. The President Trump has repeatedly said that the Europeans have to stop buying Russian energy. They bought more in 2024 than they ever have before. And so do that. Put pressure on the Indians as well to stop their massive purchases of Russian energy. That's going to force Putin to the table. And finally, the thing that really is if Trump goes to China in April and starts to talk to Chairman Xi, who's Putin's patron, that's going to force him to make a deal.
Victoria Coates, I appreciate you. Bill Taylor, I appreciate you. To be continued. I hope something works, right? Because we all know way too many people are dead and a lot more are going to be dying. 4 minutes and 15 seconds. Up next, it's a big week. Is it a big week for you? What are you thankful for? What are you not thankful for? 844-968-7720. Let's see if we can go a whole call period without talk about my mouse stash. It's Movember. That's why I'm growing it. All right? Give, and it will go away. Interesting. to see how this special does and resonates afterwards, because, boy, you guys have a lot of questions and a lot of interest. What do you got?
Well, his name is Mark, and I can't tell you where he's from right now, but his name is Mark.
Did you, just get out of the pool?
Will you
Did
stop?
you, just get out of the shower? Never seen anything like it. Anyway, what's your question?
Wet look.
Hey, sure.
Hey, Chris.
What is it?
Chris, I just wanted to say that I think that you're part of the problem, just like everybody else. No president in history has ever been able to effectively lower prices. Anyone who's ever tried increases inflation, decreases supply. It's a bad subject. It's a bad idea, and it's what a businessman who is playing a politician president uses to get you and the established media to go down rabbit holes instead of focusing on being a journalist and not an entertainer. And
what happened? Where'd he go?
Repeatedly talking about it, so that we are educated
So, Mark,
on something
here's
that
the
really
thing.
matters to us.
Mark, here's the thing. I listen. I've been doing this over 25 years. Okay, I've won every piece of lucite they put out. That doesn't have to mean anything to you, but don't get it twisted. Okay, you want to talk about who goes down rabbit holes and who's doing the job versus entertaining. You begin and end your criticism with digital media. Okay, because that is what has fomented the bullshit machine. Okay, not what you call foolishly. Okay, absurdly, the mainstream media. Okay, there is only media. Some is better than other, and people like you have empowered a place that I am also in digital media, and I just don't do what everybody else does, which is pick a side, cherry pick data, lie your ass off, and just keep people as pissed off about things as you can. Now, I don't know what you do for a living, but you're in Northern Virginia, so you may have a relatively fair degree of sophistication. If you honestly believe that no government policies have ever positively affected pricing in this country, you're a fool. And you're trying to make a point by ignoring history and economics. Next.
He was mad that you insulted my hair. That's why he came at you like that.
Yes, you put it up though, right? Yeah, thank you. Next.
Caesar from California.
Caesar, what's your question?
Hi, no, Chris, I don't have a question. I just disagree with when you said that we should not go after Comey again. And what I say is
I didn't say that.
We should, well, you said we should focus more on what's really important, like healthcare and all that, and let's not so much worry about Comey. Well, okay. Well, I think we should go after James Comey and Letitia James. Yes, because they feel that they are above the law.
No. Yeah, all right, that's where you lose me. Caesar, you don't know how they feel. You don't know how they feel about anything. Hold on, Caesar. I don't want to hear how you feel about what you think they feel. No, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear how you feel about what you think they feel. You don't know the case against Comey. Hold on.
Yes, I do.
I know.
Yes,
the people feel that because that's what you've been told.
No,
Caesar, that's what you've been told. You've been told he lied.
No.
You don't know that he lied. You don't even know the case. What do you know that hasn't been out there?
I look at the news and I look at different stations and I have nothing else better to do. I have a lot of time on my hand. I'm a single guy that has a very easy job and I have a lot of time. I watch at different times of the day. So don't tell me what I'm saying. Do and don't know. You don't know.
No.
What
I'm telling you. No, hold on, Caesar. I'm not telling you what you don't know. I'm saying you can't know what isn't out there.
I'm just saying.
That's all I'm saying. All right,
well,
look,
let's say that,
I got to go. We'll continue this another time. I'm out. Dusty is yelling at me that I got to go. But all I'm saying is they haven't made the case. So don't say that you know things when it hasn't even been established. That's all I'm saying. And if they want to go after Comey, fine.